Warning, the previous edition of this video contained errors to the rules that could have resulted in a broken game. Upon reviewing the video, playing a game on the app, and double-checking the rulebook, I determined that I needed to remake this video. I'll always tell you when a mistake was made, and I'll do my utmost to correct any errors, so please, try this at home. Welcome to How to Play Russian Bank, a game for 2 players. Now I'm told this is what Skipbo was based off of, but I can tell you the difficulty level is a lot harder. So grab your deck of Vladimir Putin playing cards, because it's going to be a showdown. And if you're like me, you like to play cards when you go bowling or on camping trips, and you're hungry, then grab a bowl of borscht and get ready, because it's going down. So basically with Russian Bank, what you're looking at is you're looking at a setup, and you're going to have a complete setup table here on the right. There's going to be 8 different tableau cards, 8 different foundation cards that are going to be built up in suit ace to king. On the player's left is his draw deck, in the middle is discard pile, and on the right is reserve. Now, your opponent's reserve can be played on. You can only decrease on the reserve. That was the error we made yesterday. It breaks the game if you increase. The discard pile can increase or decrease by 1 card as long as it's in the same suit. This is true for the reserve. You have to be in the same suit, but you can't go up, you can only go down. The draw pile should always be face down until it's your turn. Then you're going to turn a card up, and that's when the signal that it's your turn to play. So you should never have a card up on the start of a game. The objective, of course, is to be the first player to get rid of all your cards. Then you're declared the winner. That's what just happened here with the player 2 on top. So let's go ahead and do the setup. Basically, both players are going to have a deck of cards, no jokers, and they're going to deal out 13 cards face down. And on the last card, the 13th card, go ahead and turn it over and place that to your right, or excuse me, to your left. That'll be your draw pile. The remaining cards will be your the one on the left will be your reserve. The remaining cards will be your draw pile. The other player will do the same thing. Then you're going to build out 4 cards from your draw pile up to form the tableau. Each player is going to have 4 cards in the tableau, 8 cards overall. They're both used by both players. So whoever had the highest card in their reserve goes first. Since the ace of hearts was outranked the 2 of hearts, player 1 on the bottom goes first. Now we are playing off color in decreasing manner on the tableau to build packs. These packs cannot be moved entire cards at a time. You instead will have to move them 1 card at a time. So that's something to remember. You can't move the packs. You can only move 1 card at a time. And that's just basically following the classic solitaire off-color way of doing things. And once a player is finished making legal moves, he will then take his top card of the draw pile and place it in the discard pile. Once that happens, player 2 at the top will go ahead and flip over the top card of his draw pile. Now what you just saw there, you saw on the discard pile, the same suit, a 10 of hearts got played on top of a 9 of hearts. That is allowed. You're allowed to do that. Now we have an open space. Now for some reason we went ahead and changed the mind there. I guess I was demonstrating that that was a possibility. Now, it would not have done that player any good, because the very next move he could have just had that, the player 1 could just put that 10 of hearts on top of the jack of spades, as I believe it. So once a player is satisfied with his moves, he can't make any more moves, he then will put a card right in the middle that signals to the other player that it's their turn. Now, required moves, and this is where this game becomes interesting. And the first couple of games that you play, I recommend being merciful and not following this rule. Let it be. Once you get familiar with this game, because it is a lot of stuff to pay attention to. You have 8 different cards. Really, when the thing's full, it's 16 different cards, 18 total to look at. And then if you count your opponents, there's 20 cards to look at a single time to make moves. It's going to take a little bit of time analyzing a somewhat simple situation, but it's so overwhelming that it does get intense the first couple of times you play this game. That's why I probably made mistakes. I thought I was overly confident way too early on that I knew enough of this game to do it. So the requirements, there's 2 requirements right now on the board. When a card comes up that has to be played to the base, the foundation, that is required to be done first. So it's in the opponent's best interest, once everybody's familiar with the game and ready to go full rules on this, to see a required play and call it if another play gets done first. So right now, let's say if there's another 2 of hearts on the table or a 3 of hearts on the table, those are the 2 cards that are in foundations that need to go on top of either the 2 of hearts or the ace of hearts. So if a 2 of hearts or 3 of hearts is available and somebody does something else, say they move a card to the tableau, the opponent can call Russian Bank. And at that point, all play must stop. And then the opponent gets to take their turn. So you can stop somebody's progress. If it's a requirement to play that card, you put that card down and you move on. They lose all privileges to continue. So right now we have 3 requirements. There's a 2 of diamonds, 2 of hearts, and 3 of hearts. Those are the 3 requirements. Once we find the aces, that's when the game gets a little bit tougher. And right now we're in a process of flipping over cards, not finding a move, and just passing turns. That can happen in this game. Eventually a breakaway will happen. We'll have the aces down. Now, one of the weaknesses of this game, I've noticed it's happened in the app, even in computer simulations it happens, when everything's supposed to be almost perfect play by the artificial intelligence. This game can break, and that occurs, of course, if you get enough aces in your reserve. So if one player has an ace deep in the reserve, it's going to break. You can't advance any further, and I'll show an example of that later. We recorded another game right after I filmed this one by myself. Now, that 8 of diamonds was missed. It could have been played on that 9 of clubs, but player 1 at the bottom missed it. That would not have been a Russian Bank because that's not a requirement to play it there. You don't have to necessarily advance a card legally, I don't think. But the main issue with this game is the requirements are going to be that a card that can be played in the tableau has to get played. And it is a little tough to run a 2-player game by yourself, even if it is a solitaire, trying to think of both players' moves and everything. And yeah, the calling Russian banks, that's something you probably don't want to do until both players are very confident with the game. You probably want to play a few rounds before you attempt it. It is can get somewhat difficult for new players to do that. So the compulsory moves, reading the rule book to make sure we got it correct this time. So if your reserve card can be played to a foundation pile, you must make this move before any other. When an available card can be moved to a foundation pile, it's compulsory to make such a move. If there are several available cards other than your reserve card that can be played to the foundations, you may choose which to play first. So there's no requirement which order to go in, but all requirements must be played. So now we see we've just opened up a spot. Now we're just player 1 on the bottom of there is advancing his reserve. It's on his right. The draw pile, of course, on the left. There was a compulsory move there. That 3 of diamonds had to go on top of the 2 of diamonds. And the third priority is if you have any cards in your reserve, then before you're allowed to turn a card from your hand, you must fill any empty spaces in the tableau of your reserve, or from your reserve. I'm not sure if we got that one right. So if you violate any of the above priority rules, or if you omit a compulsory move, or if you make any other kind of illegal move, such as a violation of the building rules, your opponent may call stop and explain that what you have done wrong. If you place a card illegally, you must undo this move, and then it's your opponent's turn to play. So illegal moves in this game, it's a stop, and you can't make another move. Your opponent gets to go. And then when there is any available card or turn up, your hand card has been played to a foundation, you attempt to move a card some other place. So basically, you're going to see me do this a couple times in the video. You try to do a take back or something like that. Yeah, they call a stop on that too. You turn up a hand card when there's space available. So you must always go with that reserve pile on the right. I may not have understood that all the way. And the other reason to call a stop is if you attempt to move any card that is not available. So if it would have been an illegal play, if you try to go red on red or something like that, your opponent can call stop. So these videos are mainly a guide. They're not exact on the rules. A lot of times it's very difficult to be perfectly exact, and that's with anybody's channel. So whenever you're learning a new card game, definitely read along with the rules and not just watch the video. So yeah, there I should have had that 10 of diamonds, I guess, played first. But the way I've been playing it on the app, I don't think that's a rule that's been followed. And there I had 2 different requirement cards. Could have been either 8 of diamond would have worked. There's no requirement as far as which one to play. So I have an open spot. I potentially have 2 open spots. Now I have 2 open spots. And the question is what I'm contemplating in my head. I'm looking over every card. I'm seeing if there's something I could bury on the discard pile of my opponent or decrease in order on the reserve pile. That's the thing you have to remember in this game. That's the rule we messed up on the first video. Your reserve, your opponent's reserve, you must always play down. Now the other thing, you cannot lay cards off on your own reserve. So that 10 of diamonds down there, if I had a 9 of diamonds, I can't play a 9 of diamonds down there. Now, there's 2 reasons for that. Number one, because the 9 of diamonds at this point in the game is a requirement because I have an 8 of diamonds on the foundation for the second diamonds foundation. So therefore, I wouldn't be able to play that 9 on there anyway. But you can't play on your own reserve, and you can't play on your own discard. Only your opponent's. So, one of those rules, I think, it's like, yeah, I guess I need to explain that. But yeah, it's important. You can't play on your own piles, only your opponent's. Alright, so that ended player 1's turn. Now player 2 goes ahead, flips over a card, and continues moving things along. Got that 10 of hearts on that jack of clubs, and we put 2 requirement cards down, then we flip over and we see a queen. And then we see now created open space by moving that 5 of diamonds. Now we're going to move that queen down. Now we have a 9 of spades that we'll put on that 10 of hearts. Yeah, we got the 5 of spades. So I really don't know if this is a game played in Russia or not. But it did give me an excuse to put a bunch of Russian music, a bunch of folk music in this video. I hope everybody likes it. I kind of really like putting this kind of music in videos and just letting it be in the background while we enjoy this card game. And for some reason, seeing a playthrough, I think, kind of helps familiarize everybody with the process that's going on. So now the draw deck has been completely exhausted for player 1, and we're just making some other moves. So now we're seeing what we got from the reserve, and it looks like we're getting pretty close to a victory condition. So now that the draw deck's been exhausted, all you got to do to start it over is turn it right over. You don't need to shuffle, don't need anything like that. In fact, shuffling would be the wrong thing to do. And then you just go from there. And there we got some requirement cards. Now we're looking for, we got several requirement cards as they pop up. Looking for a 4 of spades and a 5 of diamonds. The 7 of hearts has gotten put in. So we're just making sure we have no other requirements. This is why the game gets so intense, because it's not really an off period for your opponent. Your opponent is watching the table just as hard as you are, especially when you get really familiar with this game and everybody's comfortable enough to move on to the next phase of this game, which is being able to call stops on each other, being able to say Russian bank or stop or whatever magic word you want it to be. And there we just saw building in descending order on the discard. It could go either way, but we had 2 cards that would make it in the descending order, and so that's what was played. So when you get confident enough, this is a very, very intense game. It makes time go by a lot faster because you're concentrating and you're looking at the board. And as simple of a concept of a simple solitaire that it is, when you're watching somebody else and playing the referee as well as the opponent, it can get your mind going, and time will fly by. And it will go by, and you won't even notice how much time has gone by. And we will feel extremely excruciating the amount of time just concentrating and waiting for something to happen. So now, yeah, we got a move available for that red 9. And that's the problem. You're really looking at everything. Okay, there are any requirements. That's your first priority is requirements. Okay, now can I place this anywhere? And this card that's just come up is a requirement card. It takes a while to see that. Oh, see, that would have been a Russian bank. That Queen of Hearts would have had to go on the Jack of Hearts, and then play could have continued. And so this is one of those, the beauty of card games and board games in general altogether is that there is a lot of freedom for house rules at that point. This is something that you as players can decide, okay, do you want the choice to be made that a player has to complete that move when a stop is called? Or do you want the choice to also be the opponent can say, no, you go ahead with that because I think it'll be more advantageous for me if you don't complete that move? That's something to consider. You can always house rule any game out there. In fact, Crazy Eights is the prime example of a game that's had so many different house rules that if you actually want to play the game, the base game is kind of boring because there's only one real special card, and that's the 8. But if you want to play some people's rules, the way I play it, you know, ace cards, reverse the order, stuff like that. So that game has been house ruled up the wazoo. Now, see, that would have been a Russian bank too. He played a requirement card down on the tableau, so the opponent could have said stop. That could have happened. But that's what makes this whole thing interesting is the fact that you can call stop, the fact that you can put an end to this. Now we found a requirement card that we needed. Now we have a queen. See, we have that Jack of Spades. Can anything be done? And that's the problem. You start getting to the end, towards the end of this game, there's a breakaway that could potentially happen to the opponent. And there's a well, nope, that's not a requirement card. Now we're looking to see, can we do anything with that card? Yes, we can. We can put it somewhere. All right, now we got an open spot. We'll put that king down. Oh, no, that was a requirement. So there's another opportunity for a Russian bank right there. Could have called it and either decide, yes, that card goes down there, or no, keep it in the tableau. That would have been your call. But if you keep it in tableau, then it's your required move, so you might as well have him place it there and then end his turn. But also, if you don't call the stop, a player can cheat. If you don't call it in time before he moves it, then it's too late. And yep, this game is pretty close to over. We have a spot that can open up. We're not really looking at it at the moment. So what are we going to do with that 9? We're thinking. Hey, you got an empty spot over there. Come on, notice it. See, I notice it now because the pressure's not on me to perform. Oh, he missed it. That is unfortunate. And that's going to happen in this game sometimes. You're going to miss stuff. And now we got an open spot. What can be done with it? That king and queen can be put down. And see, now by missing that move, look at what it did. That's the game. That's that game over. Player 2 at the top has won. And that for you is Russian bank. Somehow this led to Skipbo, but it's much harder. Now here's an example. We filmed this and we actually noticed this game was just stalling, and that's why there was an ace in my reserve. And so it happens. So if you actually want to play this game, come to Card Game Meetups or on Reddit, and if you click under the video's description, you're going to see all the credits for music, all the other links to the Discord, or to the other card game channels that I like, the Discord server, a link to Paget for the rules. Not all games will come from Paget. Most of them will, so do browse that site. You might find an invented game you want me to cover. Just let me know. Leave a comment. Any questions that you have for any of these videos, go to the game in question, leave a comment, I will answer them. And if you see a game that you like, it has to be free. I don't like to buy stuff, not because I'm broke, just because I want my audience not to have to spend money. I don't like telling people to spend money. That's apparently the whole entire board gaming culture these days, is go out and spend money. Somebody sold a deck of cards, a standard deck of cards with some different art on it, and people bought it. I don't know why. They could have played with a regular deck of cards. I don't like consumerism. I don't like consumerist mindset. I don't like buying stuff that you don't necessarily need. You need to save money. You need to have something for retirement. So as long as we can eliminate consumerism and have a real thoughtful purchasing process to where we determine what we really buy, not out of a need to fit it or a feeling that we need to fit in, but rather what we need. That's what I cover. I cover the free games. I cover the stuff you can do with common components. So let me know if you find a game, and see us on Card Game Meetups. Hope to see you next video.